From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. A Manitoba man convicted of murder in 1974 has had his name cleared after a long legal battle. Clarence Woodhouse was found guilty 50 years ago of fatally beating and stabbing a Winnipeg restaurant worker. He was formally acquitted today in court, and at the legislature, Manitoba Justice Minister Matt Wiebe apologized.
Clarence, the system failed you. It punished you for a crime that you did not commit. And it stole from you the most precious gift of all, your time.
Woodhouse's lawyers argued a confession he supposedly made was in fluent English, but the Indigenous man primarily spoke Saulteaux. The judge acquitting Woodhouse today says systemic discrimination affected both the investigation and the prosecution of the case. Court documents show billionaire businessman Frank Stronach faces more sexual assault charges involving 3 additional complainants. This brings the total number of accusers in his case to 13. The 92-year-old Stronach has previously denied all allegations against him and claimed in a CBC interview his accusers are motivated by money. Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly's reiterated Canada's calls for a ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon ahead of a summit of French-speaking countries in France. Joly says she's very concerned about the risk of a wider regional conflict after Iran's missile attack on Israel Tuesday night.
We need a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel for Lebanon. We also need to make sure that there's a ceasefire in Gaza. And for the rest, we know Israel has said that they would retaliate against Iran. So we want to make sure that ultimately it doesn't become a full-scale war.
Canada is trying to arrange a conversation with representatives for Lebanon at the summit. The Conservatives want Canada's lobbying commissioner to investigate the Liberals' appointment of former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney to advise the party and Prime Minister. The Conservatives say Carney's in several potential conflicts of interest, but the Liberals have dismissed it as mudslinging. After jumping in 2022 and 2023, mortgage rates are beginning to fall as the Bank of Canada starts cutting its key lending rate. For those looking for a lower rate on their home loan, breaking their mortgage contract could make sense, but borrowers need to watch out for potentially hefty fees.
Refinancing a mortgage with the same lender can be a simpler process than if the borrower wants to switch lenders, where they could face legal, discharge, and other fees, as well as an appraisal charge. Mortgage broker Leah Zlatkin says it could be helpful to speak to a broker to navigate the various costs and timing of the decision. Meanwhile, Rob McLister, a mortgage strategist, says it's a good idea to lock in a rate if considering a refinancing, since the interest rate outlook can change quickly. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press.
This is The Canadian Press. In sports, the Los Angeles Kings and Boston Bruins face off tonight in an NHL preseason game in Quebec City. The provincial capital hopes to bring the NHL back after the Nordiques left for Colorado in 1995. The wildcard round of the Major League Baseball playoffs ends tonight as the Milwaukee Brewers close out their series with the visiting New York Mets. Canada faces an Irish team on the rise when they meet Saturday in Langley, BC for the WXV Women's Rugby Tournament. Canada coach Kevin Rouet expects a tough challenge from the 6th-ranked Irish after their upset win over World Cup champion New Zealand.
We expect a very good team, so we are well prepared.
The Canadian women climbed to number 2 in the world rankings after their opening win over France. And Masters chairman Fred Ridley says Augusta National sustained a lot of damage from Hurricane Helene, but he's confident the Masters will go ahead as scheduled the second full week in April. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.